Welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I'm back working on the Challenger here. Have a nice stance here, what it looks like. But anyways, I'm going to be finishing up the brakes on the back now that I got the bolts for the hose and everything. Going to connect the fuel line, the rubber piece from the tank to the line. And then if I have a little bit of time, I'm also going to start figuring out the shifter inside, because I have to set that up in the right spot, put a hole so I can put the cable to the transmission. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
Okay, so last time we did a video, we did the caliper here, but I couldn't connect the hose that goes to the actual caliper, which I connected the one here to the top, but the hose is sitting right here, and that's because I didn't have a banjo bolt. I also I was able to find the bolts to actually hold the caliper, but I ended up ordering new brake pads from Amazon just because I was able to get these Wagner ones for about 20 bucks, where the ones I bought at the local parts store here, they were about $50, and they were just like the well, lowest grade pads that you can get. This one's come with the little hardware and everything that I need. So I had bought some of the hardware, which I returned because these came with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start on this side here. Put the pads on there. Put the new, this little pins, the new hardware. Hook up the hose, which I have a box here apart, so the bolts are somewhere in here. Hopefully, possibly, not too sure. Yeah, there's one in here. These were also from Amazon. It was like $8 for the pair, which came with all those little crush washers, copper crush washers. And so if anyone out there is doing a rear Explorer disc brakes, the thread size is the same as the front. It's 3/8 24, I believe. And so the front bolts should work on the rear. But if you, actually the other one I hooked it up in here. If you call the auto parts store, they don't list one for the back. And when I went last time, because I went to the store and they said, yeah, I got them, they sold me the wrong ones, the wrong thread. So I'm gonna finish that up on this side, get the other side, and then do that fuel line underneath, which should be right in there. This should be pretty straightforward to get this got up, and then we'll move to the inside to figure out that shifter. Went ahead and put the pads on the caliper here already. So the inner pad goes in first, because once you put the outside pad, you can't get this one in there. So always put the inside one on, then the outside. I put the new pins here, the hardware. So I'm just gonna lube this a little bit and then mount the caliper and attach the hose, and this side will be all done. We'll move on to the other side. And this side caliper is all done. So another thing with the brake pads is make sure the little notch is pointing down on both of the ones you put on whichever side, because you could put them the other way. This ones have just like a straight going across, and the little ear. This one actually have a notch, so you actually have to put them on the bottom and then slide them in. If you put them backwards, it's not gonna work. So What I did also is the bracket. I moved it a little bit. This one was the other way, but because this was moved on this axle out, the hose was going to be really kinked, so I just turned it. The metal hard line here, I made enough that I would have slack, so I just bent it, you know, up this way so it goes that way, but that way this line is just nice and, you know, straight, kind of, or a nice curve. It's not like really kinked. So I did that. There's still quite a bit of line here for it to go down, you know, up and down. I can also move this little bracket down if I need to. In the future, I don't think the car's gonna be, the axle's gonna be sitting that much lower, and there's enough movement there where, I mean, this should have, let's see, if we think about, that would be up. This has about 3 inches of travel as of right now. And so if I need to adjust this, I can always, you know, just turn this a little bit. It's just gonna make this go in. I can also just maybe tap this bolt on this other side of the bracket. You know, I can do a lot of different things, but for now that'll work. And before I move to the other side, I'm just gonna hook up that rubber fuel line from here to here. And I'm just using fuel injection rubber hose, which is supposed to, it's a 5/16, so it's supposed to withstand higher pressure. And I went and bought some of the fuel injection hose clamps, which are supposed to be better than the worm style. So I'm gonna hook that up, and then I'll move to the other side caliper. Alrighty, so got the fuel injector hose there connected from the tank to the hardline. We're all good there. I'm gonna, once we have fuel and we have the car ready to start, you know, we'll prime it and just check for leaks. I haven't used these clamps before. You know, they're made for fuel injection. That's what the box says. So I'm hoping they work better than the worm style. I know those tend to, if you tighten them up pretty hard, they tend to kind of break. So I didn't even realize I hadn't tightened these arms here, but there's gonna be adjustments made anyway. So anyways, that is good there. I'm gonna move to the other side and finish the caliper on the passenger side, and then we'll be all done down here. The passenger side rear caliper is complete, and I did have to do the same thing on the bracket, so I turned it that way the caliper hose has a nice kind of turn on it. It's not kinked, and then I just you know, bent the metal line to be behind the rear end. Really, you just don't want something to catch this line and rip it out. So this is right there. I could, in the future, there's like a little bracket that holds it up there. I may buy something and just, you know, weld it to here or tap it to this bracket. But this is not going nowhere. I mean, this holds it down, so that's a good point. And once I got the fluid in here, I'll make sure nothing's leaking, get all these bled. But this is all set. Pretty much we're good to put the tire and move on to the shifter inside of the car. Okay, so now that the rear brakes are all done, moving here to the front. So I have all the lines plumbed here. What I really want to do here to this car is get it converted to a power master cylinder, power brakes. And so with the brake booster rather than manual brakes. They do sell a kit that comes with the booster and the master cylinder. It is a little pricey. It's I think it's about almost $500, so it's a little on the pricier side. But the nice thing about that kit is that it has the bracket that bolts on here to this factory plate, and then it kind of goes up, and then you have the booster right here, and then the master cylinder. My only concern is, I think if it uses a small enough booster like the one I have in my 67, it's about a 9-inch, I think it will cover the valve cover here. That's one thing. The other thing is the master cylinder will end up in this area, which will kind of be in the way of the dipstick. Now I think, this is kind of hard in there. I think there would be enough room for me to kind of get behind there and just pull it out this way, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's the way I really want to go. I'm going to order that in, and then just, you know, before installing it, just kind of see how it's going to fit. Because if that doesn't work, then my other option is to buy a manual brakes master cylinder, which Willwood makes really nice, I think 1-inch one that should be stronger, especially since I have the Willwood brakes up front. And that one, it's a little bit on the pricey side for being just the master cylinder. I think it's like $400, but I think that's the route I'm gonna go. That one's gonna be just here, smaller, you know, right in the area of the factory one that was there. Should be no problem. So that's kind of the two options. I need to order the one with the booster first. I do want power brakes because that makes your pedal effort way easier. If that doesn't work, then I'll have to change it. So we'll figure that out. I'm gonna remove this little fuel line piece. What I wanted to do is check this. Because I know that they do sell, that looks pretty big. So they do sell a adapter that goes from here to 6AN. And I think I'm gonna end up doing that. It goes to a 6AN. And then I need a fuel filter, so I'm thinking there's fuel filters that go 6AN. So I bolt it right in here. I think the cover, yeah, it would be right underneath the cover here. The fuel filter would be about this long, and then this is actually straight. And then from the fuel filter, they sell a 6AN to 5/16 barb adapter. Put that on the back, and then I'll just run my fuel line to the fuel line here. And so this one, really, I just have to cut it to the length. But what I'm gonna do is, if that's gonna be back here, you know, maybe cut this somewhere, this area where I can just go from here to that. I need to get those ordered, so that's another piece. I kind of just wanted to check that because I was thinking maybe if I remove this outer piece here, this looks like it has a barb, but that looks way bigger, at least 3/8, and so I'll just order that piece. I do have to order the pieces for the heater hoses here. I think Power by the Hour has a kit that changes these, that way I don't need that gas expansion tank or the coolant expansion tank. I can just use a normal style overflow for the radiator. So I need to get that ordered. It's a bunch of small things that I need to get here and you know, kind of start buttoning this up. And anyways, so what I'm gonna do now, like I said, is I have the center console. I got it out. And so a couple things with this one is I kept these pieces, which is where the console bolted to, and I just got the floor. because I need to weld those into the car. And so I need to figure out, and to be completely honest, I don't remember. Okay, this makes a little bit more sense. I think there was 2 bolts here. So this is the back piece. And then I think the other one was right up there, which actually I think it was both of these that bolted in here. So that's gonna go somewhere up there. The other thing to kind of for me to remember is this had that that piece for the manual transmission. I think it was around this area here. Yeah. So somewhere around here. Because it came here bigger, wider. The cross member that's underneath, it wasn't touching the floor pan because that other piece went like over like this, and the linkages kind of went in between there. So I think, to be honest, this was around here. Which makes sense. That would put that console about there. That's where it would go, because the console kind of, you know, this piece goes right in the middle between the seats right here. I don't think it went that far forward, but let's see, you're on the seat. This area here, yeah, it's somewhere in between there, and then your shifter is probably around there. And so, like I said, that metal piece went kind of here, and I don't know why this was cut at one point. I honestly have no idea. I know this piece, this is how it's made. You know, it's just, it goes like this. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be connected here. But that's how it was, so. I have no idea. So anyways, this is my automatic shifter here. This is supposed to, well, it's not supposed to. It will bolt onto that transmission, factory location and everything. And so I need to figure out how to install this here. So I'm gonna put the camera down, see if I can figure out how to, where I want that to go, and then where to run the cable to. So I think this is pretty close where it's gonna be. I need to go underneath the car now though, just to figure out where the transmission is. So this cable's pretty long, but I do need to maybe drill a hole somewhere around here. Just that way I can loop it back. And hook it up to the tranny. So this piece is gonna go on the tranny like this. So it's gonna depend where where that is going to be bolted on, where I need to, you know, drill the hole somewhere around here. So I can probably do it against here on the side, keep it kind of close to the tunnel. I think as of right now, this is pushed a little bit forward. Maybe not, because see, the back seats are here, so that's probably about right. You don't want this to be too far back. I'll have to look through my old pictures, maybe videos, and see before I took this off kind of where it was, but I think right around that area I can weld a piece of metal straight off the hump, kind of in this shape, because this bolts would be what would bolt it down, and that way it's kind of all bolted in there. And this is similar to how the shifter was on this car here, because this is where the manual thing was. That big hump was around here for it, so that'll be similar. And I should have kind of kept that piece, but I scrapped it. Most of it was gone anyways. It was rotted on the bottom. But I'm gonna go underneath, just see where the transmission is in relation to this, where I need to drill that hole, put the cable through there. I'm probably gonna have to unhook it from this side, because that looks like the smaller side, to pass the cable through, because this one has a bunch of brackets. So, and then probably not today, but I'll build the bracket here out of metal. I have to sand this, weld it, maybe do a piece going down, that way it's strong, it doesn't sag. But this would be about, I think, where I want it to be. Would be nice if I can get a little lower, but that'll have to do, I think. So, all right, let's see. Let's see what we can figure out. Okay, so I went ahead and took the cable off. There's this clip, so you gotta pull these little tabs out, and then pull it out, and then you can actually take the cable off this. And so that makes it so that I can go from underneath and just push the cable through this hole that I drilled here. Because this is the smaller end. These pieces are way too big to... Here I can take it off, but all this is going to go underneath the car, and so there's no way, you know, I would need a really big hole. This is gonna be about it. I do need to get the bolts to go into the tranny. I thought I had gotten them, but I have no idea where I put them. So I need to find those, and then I need to get some metal and start building the piece there. So that's gonna be the next episode. I ran out of time today for what I wanted to do, so that's pretty much gonna be it. I'm gonna leave the center console here, because I'm gonna need to move it around to see exactly where I want it. And I'll put this piece away, because I don't want it to get, it's aluminum, seems like I don't want it to get bent or anything. So I did order all the a battery hold down cables, and what I'm gonna do is run the battery on the trunk somewhere, run the cables. I'm not 100%. I think I'm gonna do them underneath the car, but I don't know. And then I'm gonna do like a distribution block somewhere up front here, either probably like on the inner fender, or maybe bring the cables in right in here, and then from there go to the starter pretty much directly from the cable, but also have a distribution block where I can grab power for everything else. I also need to test which cables or wires I need to put power to here to get the lights to work. That's the only thing I need original here. And then I'm gonna start installing the Holley Terminator X Max kit, so we can get ready to fire this up. So it's just, you know, now in the winter, cold days, shorter days, and just with work and everything, you know, holidays, it's a little bit hard to get some work done on the car. I thought I was gonna get it running before the year end, but here we are. So now I do have a little more time, so I'm gonna really try to get all these things done, so at least we can get it started driving, and just in time for now in the summer when the track opens, so we can go test it and everything. So anyways, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Any comments, questions, leave them below. We'll see you on the next one.